Sonia?
Hi, Professor Daniel. Thank you very much. Very interesting presentation. I have a question about the anvil. I don't recall having seen pictures. Do you have an idea of the size of the anvils?
There was one piece about that size.
Okay, and how many do you have?
Not many.
Not
Very
many?
few.
Okay.
No. My impression is that bringing out cobbles, fairly small, and breaking those open, and then taking the flakes, or sometimes they're taking just the flakes out with them. Mm-hmm. But it's not anything like the scale you have at the next week.
Yeah, sure. Because you said there are no raw materials around.
No.
At all, which is a good thing.
It's a good thing because there's no contamination.
Sure.
Yeah.
But so this would mean that they will bring with them this set of tools that they need, so anvils and cobbles.
Cobbles in particular.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have any evidence of cut marks or bones?
No, not yet.
No? Okay.
The fauna I showed is so poorly preserved you won't find cut marks. There's a little locality further up the road from that roadside section, which I found in 2014, where the fauna's fresh, but again, it's a vertical surface. Okay. It's worth looking, but it's a long shot. And I found in Pakistan, you have to look at an awful lot of bone before you find a cut mark.
Sure. Are you planning to excavate a bit more deeply in the section?
I think the emphasis will be on finding a nearby new section which goes below soil 28, in other words, below 2.1 million. That would be my priority. Not excavate at the moment. Try to establish the chronology first. Ideally, find a site older than 2 million that could be excavated, would be wonderful. But the other priority I think is very important is to start to train up a younger team of the next generation to carry on this work, because now we've established the methodology, they need to extend it across the Loess Plateau. So those would be my priorities. Yeah.
One more question by Sonia.
Sorry. So at one point you're saying that the aspect of the tools is very fresh. What do you mean by fresh? Because from some of the pictures you show the quartzite look a bit, the edges looked a bit altered or rolled.
It's not been water rolled.
Okay. Okay. It's just okay. Yeah. I know on pictures it's hard to judge. Some of them look very clear on the picture, for sure, very fresh. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
So I have questions here on my right, and then Hélène.
When I was around in the Loess Plateau area in the 1980s, people were not just living on the Loess, but in the Loess. Beautiful housing, digging at the bottom of the valleys, nice climate in the room, forbidden by government because it, during earthquakes, killed hundreds of thousands of people. How does, if we presume that the early humans also were digging and living inside the Loess, how does this relate then to the dating along the Loess layers?
Most of the habitation in the Loess is in the northwest, in Gansu province. It's not very common further south. I mean, it was in the northwest that Mao Zedong housed his guerrilla army in the 1930s, and they lived underground in the Loess. In the southern part of the Loess Plateau, I've seen a few places where sections have been hollowed out for storage, but it's not common. They live above ground in that area. Also, it's much milder in winter. So in Lantien County, it's around 0 centigrade in January, whereas at the further north, it's -10, -20, even -30. degrees. So there's not that imperative to live underground in the southern part.
Still, the assumption is they lived on the Lurs, yeah?
And hominins, 2 million years ago, these are mobile animals. They're foraging, they're scavenging, they're not settled down in villages or the equivalent, of course.
A very brief question. You said that there is no raw material on the top, on the surface, which is a very good thing, as Sonia mentioned, but the raw material the hominid use has to come from somewhere, anywhere. Do you have an idea where it can come from?
Probably those mountains. They're only between 5 and 10 kilometers away. 1 or 2 hours walking. There will be small streams coming off those mountains and disgorging stone on the edge. I think further out in the Lurs Plateau, say Luochuan in the centre, there'll be very, very little stone indeed. But it's very similar to what the late Vadim Ranov had in Tajikistan, where there's a very limited input of stone near the mountains, and that's the stone they were using on the edge of those Lurs plateaus. And I think we have the same sort of situation in northern China.
Sorry, I don't know if it's appropriate, my question. These people have some contact with the Neanderthals.
These people will be, my guess is they'll be a very simple form of Homo erectus. Not unlike Dominici, probably even more perhaps primitive, and let's say an early Homo species indeterminate. And we're seeing probably highly variable because we're seeing that now in Dominici and East Africa. They'll be small brained, small bodied. Hands will be more or less the same as ours. They'll be bipedal, as scavengers. My guess is that once hominins learned how to flake sharp pieces repetitively, they were out of Africa. And once in Asia, it was the first time the fauna had encountered a bipedal ape that liked meat and used stone tools. And it gave those early Homo populations in Asia an initial advantage, which is why I think they dispersed fairly rapidly across the Asian landmass as far east as China. That would be my first reaction, my first guess.
Thank you all for this very interesting discussion. I think we have a coffee break now, and we have half an hour before coming back. Thank you.